What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we are having a look at a very exciting new Transformers TCG battle card, which has been shared by the lovely Ken Nagle over on the official Transformers Twitter. And if I remember, I'd say Twitter, I mean Facebook, although they did tweet it out as well, so it still counts, gosh darn it. And if I remember correctly, I believe he is the lead designer for the Transformers TCG. So that's rather nice. Now, there were a couple released as a pair, but they are so important, so vital, we do need to look at them separately. In this video, we are going to be focusing on Brave. Now, the card's actually called Bravery, but it's all about Brave. Brave is one of the new keyword skills being introduced in Wave 2 of the Transformers TCG, Rise of the Combiners, and this is a utility upgrade that just grants Brave. And Brave reads, enemies must attack this character if they are able. So we probably need to get into the rules, but first let's just mention this has a blue pip. Blue pip just gives you a little bit of extra added defense. Now, Bravery isn't really inherently for an attacking deck or a defensive deck. Bravery just says, hey, I want you to take down this character first. This is the one I want you focusing on. So it doesn't have to be a blue pip, but it is a blue pip. Nice for defensive decks. So Brave then, we need to remind ourselves back in the first couple of turns of the game, because you have a rule where essentially when you start, all characters are untapped and you get a free choice as to who you attack. However, as soon as there is a tapped character, you must attack that tapped character. Where there are multiple tapped characters, you have a choice of who you attack. So essentially, you've got to attack a tapped character, you have your choice of tapped characters to attack, but if no one is tapped, you can attack whoever you like. And that of course means that we see some skills in the game which become incredibly powerful, like Bumblebee Legendary Warrior, who in ult mode, or at least the turn it flips into ult mode, has the opportunity to attack an untapped character as if they were tapped. Well, what Brave basically does is change this rule a little bit. Brave turns around and goes, no, well, actually, that's not strictly true. Now I think you're going to have to attack me if you're able to. Now, of course, the if you're able to is fairly important. So if you've got two tapped characters, two untapped characters, and one of the untapped ones has Brave, you can't attack the untapped with Brave unless you're playing something like Bumblebee, because what you have here is two characters you can attack, two that you can't. So there are some awkward rulings, and I'm sure that over the next couple of Fridays, where of course Transformers do reveal their rulings for the week, answer all the questions, I will of course have a video this Friday, and every Friday they reveal one, where we will clean this up a little bit. For instance, I'm assuming that Bumblebee Legendary Warrior, when you flip into ult mode, you can attack an untapped character. Therefore, if there are two untapped characters, one of which has Brave, and two tapped characters, you would have to attack the untapped character with Brave, because you can attack it. It will get a little bit confusing, but we'll figure it out over time. So that's Bravery then. It's a utility upgrade, so it doesn't take your weapon slot, it doesn't take your armor slot. It's there as a utility. It is very much a classic utility. So the question is, when are we going to want to use this? And the answer is, we're going to want to use this if we've got bots that we want to protect. So let's say, for argument's sake, we're playing a deck with Wossy. Now, I'm just giving examples here. There are a million different ways we could go with this, but I'm hoping the examples will help get across what I'm going for here. Wossy is an extremely good character, which is extremely weak. Now, it's a 5 cost. We expect a little bit of weakness here, but essentially, Wossy has got Pierce equal to her attack. The problem is, you've got 1 defense and 9 health. Wossy is not a character we expect to be hanging around on the field for very long at all. So what you do is you give one of your other characters Bravery, and that way, as long as you make sure that Wossy's always one option, for instance, if Wossy is the only tapped character, your opponent has to go after Wossy because they can't go after your untapped characters, hence the if they're able. So as long as you avoid situations like that, you can basically have your opponent attacking bigger, beefier characters. So let's take something like Autobot Cosmos, for instance, which is very much the opposite of Wossy. It's not a great attacker, it's an expensive card, and it's a beefy card of a whopping 21 health. So if you were to put some armor onto Autobot Cosmos, I don't know, let's say for argument's sake, I don't know, let's go Blast Shield. Blast Shield is a very nice little armor that gives you +2, but then you go away after you defend, and that's got a blue pip. Maybe you play a bunch of blue pips, so you basically whack a Bravery on Autobot Cosmos and go, right, you've got to attack Autobot Cosmos, so you can be sitting there with characters like RC, getting a bunch of pierce damage, while you sit there tanking with Autobot Cosmos with a Bravery on, making your opponent attack a 21 health tanky character and piercing with RC. And this makes me rather happy indeed. The other thing we could do, of course, is combine this with Force Field. Now, obviously, getting both those upgrades on at once can be a little bit of a pain. I mean, look, we got plenty of options for doing so. You know, at this stage, I'm going to have to mention Megatron Arrogant Ruler, one of the cards I was lucky enough to be able to reveal, which has a skill when you flip it into alt mode, you can play an upgrade. Or you could use an action card like New Design, for instance, which allows you to just play an upgrade. Or maybe even you're playing a tank deck and you go for a bit of the old Hunker Down, because Hunker Down lets you flip into tanks and then attach armor from your scrap pile, which then gives you the opportunity to attach Bravery as your upgrade for the turn, knowing that your armor is going on with Hunker Down. And you just sit there and you Force Field. Because Force Field guarantees you can only take 4 damage, Bravery guarantees you have to go after the character with Force Field, and this of course adds another handy little benefit, in that if your opponent's got a Force Field, you're going to be digging for some kind of card like Ramming Speed to get rid of it, and the ideal situation is you get rid of Force Field rather than hitting into it. Well, sometimes you can't get rid of it, so you go after a different character, hoping that that one extra turn might let you draw into something like a Ramming Speed. Well, Bravery basically says, no. You will go after this one character, and it's got a Force Field. If you don't have it right now, you're in a little bit of a pickle. And that's what I love so much about Bravery. It's almost difficult to analyze the card Bravery, because there's so many uses for it. Now, Bravery, I say Bravery is the card, Brave is the keyword skill. Brave as a skill we knew was coming. We have seen it, but only once on Predacon Headstrong, one of them their Predacons, which goes and combines up into Predaking. And Predacon Headstrong had the keyword Brave, and this really was our introduction to it. Now, Predacon Headstrong sits there, and I will tell you this, the natural defense of 3 is very strong and very good, and we love it. The health of 5 we don't. Now, Predacon Headstrong's a 5 cost, right? So, Predacon Headstrong is nice in that it stops your opponent going after your other Predacons, but it really isn't going to last very long. Fun little skill, but inherently limited. Whereas Bravery as a utility upgrade allows you to pull off all kinds of weird combinations and really protect yourself from whatever it is your opponent might be trying to do. It can force your opponent into situations that they don't like. Force them to attack a character they don't want to. We all know that the first turn or two of the Transformers TCG is crucial. Deciding which character to flip, deciding which character to attack, because especially if you go first, you have an open choice as to who to attack, and that is absolutely crucial. And then deciding who you attack with, knowing that they're going to be tapped and they are potentially going to be vulnerable in future turns, this all makes things very, very awkward. And Bravery adds that extra layer of strategy. From a player standpoint and a game design standpoint, I think this is a phenomenal card because it introduces these extra layers of strategy and it really makes you think about the decisions that you're making. But in a really basic way, Bravery keeps characters alive that you really want to keep alive. I mean, sure, there are some really awkward combos you could potentially pull off here, and it's not one I necessarily recommend, but one that I do find extremely interesting is the idea of using Ransack Insecticon Commando. Now, Ransack in bot mode has an attack equal to the number of damage counters on him. Now, he also only has 8 health, but you could potentially pop Bravery on him and try and manipulate this so you're almost KO'd so that you've got more health. Or even just whack a Bravery on Ransack, knowing that it's going to go down very quickly, but it means Insecticon Scrapnel, for instance, is going to stay on the field a little bit longer. And then, of course, you can use I Still Function with Ransack to bring it back from your scrap pile, still in bot mode, with 1 health remaining, which means it will do the maximum amount of damage. So maybe it's not such a silly combo. Either way, I think this is a great new keyword skill, and I think this is exactly the kind of card we needed to take advantage of it. So big up to Transformers. But I would very much like to know what you think about this and which combinations you can think of playing with this, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the most important rule as always: be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about other games and also Transformers. But by far the most important thing as always: look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.